Welcome back to another edition of Table Talk, Real Estate, Family, and Legacy. My name is Eric Martin, local real estate agent here in the Sarasota area. So today we're just going to jump right into this. We are going to be talking about 1031 exchanges. This is used for real estate, and the primary goal of a 1031 exchange is to defer the capital gains tax from homes. So basically what it is, it's a tax code 1031, and the exchange part means what happens is you exchange a property for another property. And in that sense, you will defer those capital gains taxes when you purchase the new property. I will say this. You should consult with a tax accountant if you have a tax professional, or if you have a state attorney involved. Talk with those people and see what the best moves are for you. Because I am not one of those people, but I can help with the sale of the purchase of those properties if need be. So there are a couple of things that you need to know about a 1031 exchange. Number one, it cannot be used on your primary residence. It can only be used on secondary homes such as investment properties, vacation properties, things of that nature. And you cannot have lived in the home for at least the last 2 years. So investment properties and rental properties are usually the best ones to go for this, because obviously you're not living there. Vacation homes may be a little bit more difficult to do because you might be visiting there. And again, that's where you need to consult with your tax professional to see, what the guidelines are really, and if you're going to be able to maneuver it, or if you need to wait, or things like that. When you are going to do a 1031, you need to let everybody in the world know that you are doing a 1031 exchange. If you think you are just going to do the sale and then say, oh, we were going to do an exchange, doesn't work. There are a couple of forms that need to be filled out prior to even starting it. Again, that is where a tax associate and legal advice comes into play. But you need to note that before you even start the process. Then you have 45 days to find a like property. And then once you find that like property and you make an offer on it, you have 180 days to close on that property. Now, when I say like properties, we are talking dollar amount. We are not talking single family for single family, or single family, or multifamily for multifamily. It has to be the dollar amount. So in other words, if you own $1 million property someplace and you have 3 children that need homes, or you want to bless them with homes, that might be bigger or better than what they have, or better neighborhoods or whatever, you can then purchase, depending on how many kids you have. If you have 2 kids, you can each buy them $500,000 homes, or not them, but you can purchase $500,000 homes. And then, again, however it is written out as to when they take possession of those and things like that. But as long as the amount that you are spending is the amount that you receive. Now, if you do receive more than what you spend, that difference would be taxed. So in other words, you were selling $1 million home and you live in another state from that home, and you wanted to have the rental property closer because it's more manageable and things like that, and it was only an $800,000 home, you would be on the hook for $200,000 of that capital gains. So with that all being said, a 1031 needs to be planned out. You just do not wake up and go, oh, we're going to do an exchange on this property and it's this and this and this. No. The people involved that are making the decisions on the property, your realtor needs to be in the loop and kind of knowledgeable about how they happen, but just knowledgeable at the fact that we have time deadlines, that we need to get on this right now. As soon as you sign this paperwork, or even before you sign the paperwork to purchase the home, we need to make sure everything is in place so you can take that 1031 advantage. Because like I said, if you do not do it correctly and you go through the wholesale, it's not going to count. So you need to make sure that you are working with people that understand it and that have done it before. The other thing you need to remember is it defers the capital gains tax. It does not eliminate them. So you can exchange and exchange and exchange and exchange, but eventually, sometime, somewhere, it's going to come out that you have to pay a tax, I'm sure, someplace. Maybe when they no longer, your family down the road no longer wants it, there is going to be some type of tax paid if they decide to sell the home. But you can progressively build up to larger homes and larger dollar amounts by doing this. And it's a great tool, especially for adult children whose senior parents may live in other states that may have some rental properties, and the kids decide that they don't want the rental properties because they're in a different state. If they were closer to them, maybe they would do it. This is a vehicle to be able to say, hey, we can wait, or we can do this, and then we can transfer everything over and not get hit with all of these taxes. If you are looking for some more information on 1031s, reach out. I'll be able to help you out, possibly answer some questions. If not, definitely talk to your tax professional, and they will be able to explain to you what you're going to pay in capital gains versus whether you were to defer it. You have to remember, you are going to pay an automatic 20% to the federal government, and then whatever your state tax is. So there, in some instances, you may be paying 30 to 40% capital gains tax. Think about that. That's a big, big number. And that's a number that you need to know even before you even go into thinking about selling or things like that, is to know your numbers. Well, I hope you got some valid information. We will dive a little bit deeper into some other nuances on 1031s later down the road. But for now, this at least gives you a quick little overview on how they work and what you should do with them.